Where's? Welcome to the Damu Kiwe Conversation. This is the voice of the culture and voice of this West Coast. Stand up, West Coast. Salute to everybody. Get active in your chucks in the chat. The chat is where it's at. Shout out to the Blue Wrench Mob. Hit that like button on your way in. It's like taking your chucks off at a gangster's front door. Before you enter, show a little bit of respect, man. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Let's get them up first. So, instead of entertaining those down there screaming for the attention of a real one, I'm focused on being who I am, and that is a real one. I'm focused and still worried about my loved one that's in MDCLA right now. Eugene Henley Jr. Big U. So, the question is Big U washed up? Hit that like button. That's what people in the streets just conclude. Oh, the feds got them. They give you double-digit numbers. Man, these devils be wrong some of the time, too. These devils go out their way to try to knock a nigga down, especially a leader from within the urban community. If they can't make you their puppet, then they need to get you out the way. You're doing too much. You think they're going to allow a nigga that they can't control to be at that level? You did that too long. Oh, now you on our radar. So now they're looking for a reason. They're making up reasons and they're entertaining anything that anybody got to say, no matter what incentives are promised to these informants who, in the Dale the Long-Tail Rat, got caught up on a different RICO case. Prior to that, got caught up on human trafficking minors, right? And human trafficking other women. Marley Marl, also human trafficking. Tied to the crooked police in Las Vegas, allegedly. These is investigations that's going on and them being concluded in which I'm quite sure a lot of these dudes are incentivized to tell these agents whatever they want to hear, right? To save their own tail. So what I did is I believe that the feds have major problems in the Big U indictment. You know what I'm saying? So this is Duse M's analysis, right? Of how the feds have major problems in the Big U indictment. So I know everybody it was famous. Everybody know what was going on. Let me go ahead and get into that video first, right? And take y'all back to that day. You know what I'm saying? When they raided my nigga. You feel me? It's a fucked up situation, right? Big U indicted. And then he made sure we got the videos and everything. So let's go to Law and Crime now. Let's start off right here. You know what I'm saying? We're going to do a deep dive. Duse M's, man. I'm not an attorney. I'm a lay litigator, but this is my nigga. So with the little experience I have fighting against the federal government, this is the information I would give them. First, I'm going to read them and break down each charge one by one. But let's check this out so y'all remember, if y'all are been living up under a rock, the day they lied and said he was say that he was absconding arrest. Let's go. A fugitive. This is how they break you. Let's get to it.
I need y'all. I don't even know what to say.
Remember Big U? He turned himself into federal custody last month after a shocking indictment alleged he committed a number of crimes, from embezzlement to fraud to extortion to robbery, as well as violating the federal RICO Act. But that's not all. His indictment comes as such a shock because to the public, he appeared like an OG who just wanted to do good. But according to the feds, that was all a ploy. I'm Elizabeth Milner with Law and Crime. Now, if Big U is convicted on his charges, he's not facing light time. He's facing life in prison. Now, last time I reported on this story, we had little info about the man he's accused of murdering beyond that he was an aspiring rap artist signed to his label. Now we've learned the victim we previously knew as RW actually used to play football with Big U's son.
I just want y'all to know, all this stuff is quagmire. Shit is all bullcrap.
Not guilty. That's the plea Big U entered last week when he was arraigned on his charges. But Big U is looking at a major uphill battle, and the battle of a federal trial could soon begin as early as next month. According to his federal indictment, Big U ran a criminal enterprise that they call the Big U Enterprise. Court documents say the Big U Enterprise is a mafia-like organization that utilizes Henley's stature and long-standing association with the Rollin 60s and other street gangs to intimidate businesses and individuals in Los Angeles. Federal prosecutors claim Big U is known and regarded as a leader within the Rollin 60s Crips, and his time with the gang dates all the way back to the 80s, where he rose up the ranks after earning his rep as an enforcer. So what do the feds have on him? According to the indictment, agents have confidential human sources, wiretaps, search warrants for social media, iCloud, Google accounts, financial records from individuals and companies or organizations, toll records showing communications between conspirators, victims, and Big U Enterprise members and associates, cell phone records, records from the city of Los Angeles, interviews from witnesses and victims. Now, essentially, they claim to have a lot on him, especially since the investigation launched in 2021. But here's what else we've learned since the last reporting of this story. So in addition to embezzlement, wire fraud, and all that, Big U was accused of murdering one of his rap artists in a Vegas desert in January of 2021. Now, previously, we only knew the victim as RW because that's what the indictment says. But now
RW, that's what the indictment says, but he's not indicted, charged for the murder. They're charging it as an overt act in the continual criminal enterprise, which means he can be held liable for that. Let me grab that real quick, and then we'll start there before I even begin my advice to Big U and begin listing things that I see from this perspective that's wrong with the way he was
we
charged.
know the victim's name, Rayshawn Williams. Now, prior to him being a rapper, he was a football player for Crenshaw High. The team even posting a remembrance to him on their Instagram page, writing in part, quote, "He was a very special guy to all of us here at Crenshaw. We hope that you pray and continue to pray for the family and hope that everything goes well along with them." But it's how Rayshawn died that's horrifying. Now, according to the indictment, Big U allegedly murdered Rayshawn by shooting him multiple times, then dragging his body into the desert and left him there in a ditch not far from Interstate 15. A witness told investigators Big U was one of the last people seen with Rayshawn before his murder. But why would he kill his own artist? Well, allegedly, Rayshawn recorded a diss track about Big U, even seemingly foreshadowing his own death. Now, the indictment says, quote, RW was dissing Henley, referring to Henley as the bro that makes some money, and that RW may get shot in the face for thinking his lackadaisical use of the studio and general representation of unique music is funny. Now, just 5 days later, after laying that track down, Rayshawn was shot in the face with a revolver that left no shell casings. But it's unclear if Big U heard the lyrics prior to the murder. But according to the internet gossip and rumors that are swirling around, others have suggested other reasons for why Rayshawn was murdered, like WACK100 alleging Rayshawn and Big U's son were in a relationship and Big U didn't like that. Now, nowhere in the indictment does it claim that.
So here you got Law and Crime showing that a confidential source back, CS2 back, the WACK boy, is lying still while he's in jail about a love trice between RW and Big U's son. Imagine how much disdain and hate you have for a man that you try to include a brother that did everything the right way just to utilize and piggyback off his name, drag it through the mud, connected to any kind of negative shit. You's a piece of shit, man. But let's get back to it. I got to be on my more professional tip today. But look, this is the jailhouse lawyer, Duse M, a.k.a. Johnny Cockroach. Let's get to it, man.
That happened. But WACK100 and Big U hate each other. So who knows? It might be Wack trying to get another jab in. But in addition to murder, federal prosecutors allege Big U's enterprise purported control of LA, to the point Big U allegedly required musicians, athletes, and others who wanted to do business in LA, both legitimate and even of the criminal kind, to check in. Now, if you're unfamiliar with checking in, it's pretty much you had to get permission from Big U to travel to LA if you wanted protection. Ironic enough, his podcast is called Checkin' In. He even made note of how to do it in the theme song. When you hop off a plane, check in. Penthouse suite, check in. When your feet hit the street, check in. Because if not, gets hot. You better check in. And checking in isn't just sending a text message to Big U saying, hey, I'm in Los Angeles. You got to pay him. And he's got to sign off on it if you want to conduct certain activities. Now, Big U has pretty much been a guest on every hip hop and rap podcast you can imagine, and the feds were watching. Now, they cited in the Hip Hop Uncovered documentary that Big U stated, if you don't pick up the phone, that can mean death for somebody. In the Nothing to Something podcast, he said, you go and check in. You could choose not to, and it's going to be a problem. If you choose not to check in, you suffer the consequences. Now, an example they use.
Harbor Freight
That
tools
like button,
keep getting
man.
better with time.
Damu Kiwe
Better performance,
Conversation.
better durability.
Let's go.
News of the so-called consequences was the attempted murder for hire plot of rapper Quando Rondo, which was allegedly set in motion by rapper Lil Durk. Now, during that shooting, Quando Rondo wasn't killed, but his cousin was gunned down. Then there's the whole defrauding companies, donors, athletes, and celebrities part. Big U is accused of pocketing more than $100,000 in donations to Developing Options, his nonprofit charity. He even received donations from the likes of Draymond Green and Shaq. Now, according to the LA Times, in August of 2019, NBA star Draymond Green donated $20,000 to the nonprofit. Shaq donated the same amount, but the money went into Big U's personal account. So that's a lot, right? And that's just the cliff notes, pretty much. Now, I just want to point out here, obviously the feds are accusing Big U of violating RICO, so they allege he didn't do it alone. There were several others also picked up, and by picked up, I mean arrested as a part of the alleged criminal enterprise. Now, as for Big U, he claims that he's innocent. On the way to turn himself in, this is what he had to say.
I'm looking at this video as I come in to turn myself in, and I'm disheartened by the fact that they trying to say that I stole something from Developing Option, or I used Developing Option as a front. Developing Option paid my bills. They paid my house note. They paid the bills for my family, the money I made as an employee for Developing Option. I never mixed that with nothing. I didn't manipulate nobody. I didn't steal nothing. We did PPP loans. We did 2 loans. And that's it, just like everybody else did. I didn't use no fraud. I didn't give none of fake names. And one of them we was paying back and one they forgave. You know what I mean? And the other one we attempted for and they didn't give us nothing for it. I filed my taxes and them coming around telling me I was using Developing Option as a cover. Cover for what? None of that's going to be true. None of that's going to be true. The government putting this big picture, they going to arrest 21 dudes. Some dudes I don't even talk to. I don't even know nothing about. So how the hell you going to lump me in with all them? But it's all the big picture, though. It's all the big picture. Now I'm going to be sitting in here. It's going to be years out of my life. Then you going to get dudes who I don't even talk to. What they going to say? You ruining people's lives. I heard it's over 21 people that's been arrested. This shit wrong. It is what it is. Church, just pray for me. Pray for me, pray for my family. And you look at what we did. You look at what I did. I've been home 21 years. It ain't over, though. That's what it's not.
Ain't no
Blessings. I'm looking at all these charges on the news. I'm headed back to LA. And then I'm looking at the people they arrested. How you gonna go arrest people that I don't even talk to? That's a built-in liar right there. You know what I mean? So is that how they gonna work the case? Everybody know I don't can it. Everybody know I'm Bricc, baby. So if you want to arrest certain dudes, and put them next to me, them is the dudes you gonna have to call themselves turning against me. Well, ain't no turning against me. I ain't going for that. You might as well go get 600 and WACK. These dudes been saying I did all year. So what they doing is they go on the internet and these dudes say that I did shit on the internet. Then when you say I did on the internet, they go investigate it. Now you raiding my houses, raiding my shops, raiding all this stuff. And talking about I'm committing crimes and covering up with developing option. What crimes am I committing to cover up with developing option? You know what I'm saying? I ain't committed no crimes and covered nothing up with developing option. It's crazy. But this how they get you. They get one or two people to say something. Ain't gonna be no real evidence. Ain't gonna be no real nothing. It's gonna be a repeater thug. It's gonna be a bunch of people in jail for a bunch of different crimes that don't have nothing to do with me. They finna lump all of us up and say it's all around the 60s. Watch it. We just seen it with Thug. I'm finna experience the same thing out here. I knew it was coming. Now they on there saying all this stuff to assassinate my character. All right, man, just pray for me. And again, they can do any one of us. It ain't nobody safe with these dudes. If these dudes feel they want you, how they going around talking about somebody's gonna raid my house before my house get raided? How they there with the police? And y'all sitting there following them. Everybody that's a part of them shows, and 100 shows, and all them shows, and y'all need to, everybody who following them, promoting them, anything. Y'all wrong. Y'all ain't black. And y'all show ain't for our people. They can put charges against anybody. So this is gonna probably be my last video. I'm gonna go turn myself in to see what's going on. They talking about I'm a fugitive. So they just raided all my houses. 600 was actually with the police when they raided my house. He's actually got video and footage of it. So y'all know what y'all dealing with. And I just want to say this to y'all. When they raided my houses and my property, it was asking about WACK. WACK, Loose Cannon, 600, and this internet stuff. All of y'all filed. All y'all who be sending shit around the internet, all y'all who be promoting and listening to what these niggas saying, all y'all giving these likes and hidden likes, all y'all supporting this. All y'all guilty of this.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
If you had something against a black man, you should handle it with a black man in the streets. WACK said 100 times he was gonna take my contracts. He working with the FBI. The FBI went to the city 3 days in a row and told the city they didn't want nobody to give me no more money.
Right.
They went to all the different celebrities.
I remember
They told all the different celebrities, don't give me no money, don't help me, don't do nothing for me. They going around scaring and intimidating everybody. But y'all sitting it around getting people in trouble. Like y'all don't understand what the FBI do to black men who try to help their community. I ain't been nothing but a help to our community. But I guess it is what it is. This the price of being black and trying to help somebody, trying to help your community and do what you can. You just guilty because somebody else don't like you and then go on the internet and do what they want to and y'all gonna promote it. It's crazy. But I'm going to go turn myself in though. Because I ain't did nothing.
Let's get back.
They calling my son at his football practice, threatening him. You know what I mean? These dudes tagging him. What kind of shit is this? But y'all gonna be rolling with these dudes. And I got the last thing to say. WACK said he's gonna destroy developing option, right? So who gonna replace developing option? Which one of you 60s gonna call yourself coming in? Because whoever try to come in, y'all the ones that's working with WACK. Believe that. So remove me to get me out the way for somebody else to come in who gonna cooperate. That's what the play is. That's what the whole play is. I'm out. I'm gonna send y'all videos to put up all of them until they lock me up.
And we'll see how this plays out. as new reports suggest he could face trial as early as next month. Let's bring on trial attorney Adante Pointer to get his take on what Big U's trial could look like. Adante, thank you so much for joining me today. Now, before we get into the trial aspect of everything, what's actually your reaction to Big U's 107-page indictment? In it, there's so many allegations like violation of RICO Act, allegations of embezzling, allegations of murder, and that federal authorities actually date back some of these alleged crimes as early as 2021.
Yes, this is a very much a sprawling indictment that has ensnared not only Big U, but it implicates a lot of different people, because the government essentially laid out their case to say this was not a single individual, although he was the head.
Hungry Root is the easiest way to eat healthy. Hungry Root is kind of like having your own personal shopper and nutritionist. They take care of the weekly groceries and recommend
or the mastermind, if you leave it to what the government has put together, of this criminal enterprise. And in order for it to be an enterprise, that means there are other people involved. And so this is a net that has ensnared more than just Big U, but it's also implications for a lot of other people on a far-ranging list of crimes. And this is something that was pretty shocking to read. It almost read as if it was a fiction novel. But from the government's position, this is fact, not fiction.
Oh, yeah. And it does feel like it's a movie script just kind of playing out. And it's interesting, too, because the persona Big U kind of portrayed was that of a former OG that's now a community activist. He wants to do good for the community. And while we can say two things can be true at once, right? Like maybe he was doing good for the community, but if you believe what the federal authorities are alleging, especially in this indictment, he was running pretty much essentially a mafia-like enterprise. They even said that in the indictment. What's your reaction to kind of what feels like
the media is aimed by the feds? Obviously, the feds have urged the media to demonize you. Both could be true. You know what I'm saying? So for them to push that narrative, that how powerful the resources of the federal government is to paint subliminal messages on the people's subconscious mind and demonizing you, criminalizing you publicly, even before your trial. Let's go.
Double life he was living.
Well, you mentioned that two things can be right. And so he could have also been engaged in things that were positive, if you will, for the community in terms of helping a community that's very disadvantaged and hasn't received the same economic opportunities. Nevertheless, you have to counterbalance that with these allegations right now that show that he was involved in not just trafficking and extorting people, but also they say that he personally committed a murder. So, those are very stark contrasts and contradictions of a person. And I'm sure the community knows him one way or maybe both ways. That's what's going to be pretty riveting, is to see if this case makes it to trial and or more information that comes out as relates to where the government got their information from. We may see two contradictions of a man on full display, or we may see that this is really the monster as he's been portrayed, or as Big U has tried to portray himself, a victim of government overreach.
And what are your thoughts on Big U kind of declaring his innocence? Now, before he had turned himself into federal authorities, initially people thought he was going to make a run for it, but he turned himself in. We know that, and he's been in custody for weeks at this point. But in terms of just what federal authorities have on him.
Just so y'all know about the crooked news media, this is what Trump was talking about, and I'm not a Trump supporter. He just stated the obvious for his own purposes. You know what I'm saying? His own political purposes. But the crooked news media have done this. The feds done this with the crooked news media since the Panthers. Disinformation campaigns. This is what you're witnessing. The buck breaking of Big U, Eugene Henley Jr., man. Let's go.
But Big U's kind of declaring that, to your point, this is overreach. What's your reaction to that?
Well, when you're up against a federal indictment and one of the cornerstones and the bedrocks of our democracy is innocent until proven guilty, I think that he played it the way that you could, which is he's saying, hey, I didn't do all of these things that you're claiming. I'm not this monster that you're portraying me to be. And I'm looking forward essentially to defending myself against these allegations. That in and of itself doesn't necessarily mean
that I didn't do anything that's being alleged, or that I wasn't some part or piece of the entire mosaic or picture that they're painting. He's just simply saying, look, I didn't do all that you said I did. This isn't the way it went down, and I look forward to saying my piece, and you're targeting me. And that same allegation rings very similar to what we heard with our current president, who was the target, if you will, of federal activity in the courts and prosecutors. And he wound up his way in the White House in the Oval Office.
Yeah, that is very correct. As far as the allegations in Big U's indictment, when it comes to wire fraud allegations, embezzlement, making fraudulent applications for COVID-19 relief loans, and then you have that on top of some of the more kind of heinous allegations too, that being murder, allegations of robbery, kidnapping, all of that sort. Why do you think that they're all kind of stacked together in this massive indictment, as opposed to, for example, the murder happened back in 2021? Why do you think that wasn't taken up as a separate matter, and then possibly the financial stuff taken up in another matter? Why do you think it's all together? It's so that way federal authorities can kind of get a slam dunk and a win, or what are your thoughts on that?
Ambition doesn't accept limits. It drives us to make connections and see
Yeah,
potential.
man, this is a real good legal discussion.
Typically, when you see the federal authorities or any prosecutor kind of lump together an assortment of crimes that range over an extended period of time, what they're looking at is the cumulative effect of the weight. When Big U were to step into a trial and or try to negotiate a plea bargain on this case, the prosecutor has 5, 10, 15 different criminal acts and violations to choose from to kind of to put him in a rock and a hard place, so to speak. And so what you see is they pile on, is the term that the criminal defense attorneys use. We say, you've piled on all these charges in order to make it that much more difficult for my client to fight for his freedom. And or if we were to go to trial, you paint such a negative picture by claiming all these different things. A jury is more likely to think, well, maybe not all of these things are true, but one of these things are true. And we might not agree on the most severe crime, but we can make a compromised verdict in terms of a jury agreeing on a charge or a conviction on something that's a little bit less serious, but yet carries devastating consequences in terms of prison time.
Yeah, because he's facing life in prison, and not even just life in prison, a statutory max sentence of life in prison. What are your thoughts on whether or not this could be a possibility for him, especially given that, he had previously served time for a completely different separate matter? But in terms of just the punishment that he's facing, it is a lot of time, but what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, federal charges and convictions come with heavy penalties. That's why the weight of the federal government, when it's leaning on you as a criminal defendant, or if you're the criminal defense attorney, is punishing. Because especially for people who have prior convictions, you have the risk of being declared a career criminal, which in and of itself invokes a mandatory minimum of decades of time. And that's how the federal system works. It's a point system as it relates for how a punishment could be meted out. So when he has all these different variety of crimes, you add that to his prior convictions, and you're looking at a staggering amount of time as it relates to prison exposure. And that's why many people plead, because you're up against a very difficult decision. Do I risk what might be hundreds of years in prison, or do I take 10, 15, 20 years, which is still an amazing amount of time, but you still have an opportunity to come home and restart your life, versus 300 years, which is essentially a death sentence.
Yeah, and that's why I'm kind of surprised that given this overwhelming amount of evidence, it seems like from federal prosecutors and from authorities, that I was a little surprised that Big U pleaded not guilty. Now, again, he maintains his innocence in all of this, but as in terms of him not going through with the plea, in this case, now going to trial, what's your reaction? What do you think it could look like?
Well, he's going to have amount of time to review the federal government's evidence against him and try to challenge it, and then mount his own defense. At some point in time, as you mentioned, he will have to make the decision. Am I going to try to make a deal or accept an offer, or will I have to go to trial? Those are going to be heavy concerns and considerations for him to think through, because as we discussed, he's looking at an inordinate amount of time, and the federal government will give you that time. There's no question. So this will be a very difficult decision. And I think primarily it'll weigh upon the witnesses coming to court and cooperating. But that's actually a very common tactic of the federal government, is when you're facing a federal prosecution, oftentimes they already have the witnesses against you in the bag, so to speak, and they're cooperating, and they have sentences, and they have statements and interviews and recorded evidence. So oftentimes when you see a federal indictment, the federal government has already done the research, they've already done their homework, but that doesn't mean people do not beat these charges. That certainly can happen.
Right.
So it's to be determined, as they say.
And as far as the murder allegation, he's accused of murdering a rapper that was signed to his label. And the feds pretty much allege that he did this because this rapper, who we now know to be Rashawn Williams, recorded a diss track about Big U. Now, it's unclear whether or not Big U actually heard these lyrics prior to the shooting. But in terms of just the murder the murder allegation. What are your thoughts on this, especially given kind of the close nature that Big U allegedly had with the victim?
Once again, to read that allegation and to hear that he murdered a rapper that worked for him, that was on his recording label, that he actually was supposed to be looking out for and kind of shepherding through the entertainment industry, shot him allegedly in the face and left him for dead on the side of a highway, all because this rapper made a diss track or disrespected him in a song. Those are very shocking allegations and, heinous if proved true. And, it's something that you'd hate to hear happen to anyone. But over something as petty as a diss track is something that's just unimaginable to think about, the depravity of a person to do such a thing. So it's definitely a jaw-dropping headline. The question is it true? And what is the evidence to back it up? And so that remains to be seen.
They said earning a degree would keep me in demand, but some degrees are more valuable than others. Take cybersecurity.
Yeah, and in terms of even just that, you also have this kind of other aspect to the entire case, and that's Big U's kind of way of raining this power down on LA, and that's in the form of checking in. Something that really federal authorities kind of laid out how Big U kind of operates that in terms of just even having professional athletes, musicians, other people who wanted to come down to LA pretty much make a form of payment to make sure that they were protected essentially by Big U, so that way consequences wouldn't happen. And the feds even kind of point out what the consequences are, that being the shooting or the attempted murder of rapper Quando Rondo, and that kind of has to deal with the Lil Durk case. But in terms of just the whole checking in aspect to this case and just even the power that Big U exuded, because they got the whole check-in thing, and I could just kind of ramble on about this, but they got the whole check-in thing because Big U always talked about it on podcasts and documentaries. He was very vocal, and it seems like the feds were watching this entire time. But in terms of just the evidence that the federal authorities have as far as the podcasts, the documentaries that he had done, but in addition to Big U saying these kind of words out of his own mouth, how bad does that look for the defense come trial?
Well, when you are facing criminal charges and some of the key items or pieces of evidence are words you yourself have uttered out of your mouth, they're very hard to walk back. They're very hard to dodge the implications of those. And so many of these rappers and people in the entertainment industry have gotten very fond of getting on social media and on podcasts and telling stories or recording themselves in the midst of whatever they're doing, essentially admitting to what they're doing and describing what they're doing, which to me is essentially saying, hey, raising your hand and saying, hey, I'm ready to go to jail, or I'm ready to go to prison, take me in. And so unfortunately, for Big U, they're citing a lot of these different interviews or internet posts where he's talking about checking in. I do note that, and keep in mind, I imagine a part of his defense, I would think, is going to say, look, given where people want to film these videos or they want to come and do their marketing or their advertisements and shoot these videos, these are in dangerous parts of LA. And the police are not here protecting people. The police come after a crime takes place. Many people in these communities say the police come to pick up the shells or to pick up the bodies. They're not there before the shooting takes place or the protection before, the carnage happens. And so Big U's like, hey, I'm providing a service. These rappers, these entertainers want to come to these dangerous neighborhoods and take pictures and take videos. I'm actually there making sure that bad things don't happen. I'm providing order. that the police are not providing. Now, that's very much like the Godfather Don Corleone-esque. So I don't know how to actually play in a courtroom, but I think many people in the community and in the industry understood it. Unless he was actively going after people saying, hey, if you didn't check in, now I have to come and rob you. And that is a part of the allegations in the federal indictment, is that it wasn't just he was providing protection in places and in ways that the police were unable to. It was that the allegation is that if he understood that a celebrity was coming to LA and they did not check in, did not pay the tax, if you will, for his protection, then he would actively send people after them in order to rob them, in order to further cement his reputation as the boss, if you will, in these neighborhoods.
And it's interesting too, because, given street code, right? Not that I'm too familiar with it, but from my understanding of it, it just seems like there is just kind of this code of honor in a way. That is just kind of the way that the streets run. And even in terms of Big U talking about checking in, he says, even when he leaves LA, he makes it a point to check in if he's going to Chicago, if he's going to Atlanta. So it seems like there's kind of this, if you do this for me, I do this for you type of code of honor in a way for this in the streets. But in terms of just leaving the street life, because they sometimes when you're caught too in deep, it seems like there's no way of getting out, and then this type of thing happens. But in terms of just, the OG's not leaving the street life. We're in 2025 now. A lot of things have changed in terms of, people are more vocal on podcasts or more vocal on social media, just about things that they may not realize could be coming off very criminal, but they're still talking about it, not realizing that other people are watching. But in terms of just the street life bleeding into criminal activity that just keeps going and going and going, what are your thoughts about that overall?
Yeah, he certainly has a past that's been discussed, had some convictions, known to be a power player or the boss within his circle and within his circle of influence there in Los Angeles. And yes, people do check in when they go into different parts of our country. Now, is it a check-in to say, hey, I'm here, look out for me, tell me the best restaurants, tell me the best places to hang out, tell me the places to avoid? That's a certain type of check-in. And those are the type of things that many of us might do if we're going to a place that we're not familiar with, and we have people who are familiar with that place in our circle. The problem that, people run into is when you provide those type of recommendations or services, A, for money, and B, under pain of being robbed or beaten or killed. Okay, that's called extortion. That's different than merely, checking a Yelp review. All right. And so that's what the federal government is talking about here. I do, once again, understand and appreciate the idea that these people often are high net worth individuals. They live a flashy lifestyle. They're going into areas where, violence and crime definitely takes place. The police don't appear to be able to maintain that order. And there's something to be said about communities being organized in a way to where someone outside of the system who may not be able to, in areas that the system may not be able to reach, is able to maintain some sense of order and decorum about how things are going to take place in these communities. And so that may be the role Big U played. And if that's the case, then we also understand from just watching politics and just our everyday things is that when the person who is maintaining that order is removed, there is a power struggle at times, and there's a power vacuum, and then people are competing to fill that void. And oftentimes that leads to even more violence than the authorities think that they were trying to stem or quell. Instead, it incites violence and aggressive activity. And so that also remains to be seen.
There have been some reports that have been suggesting that the trial could start as early as next month, which to me sounds just completely insane. But do you think that's actually plausible given just how extensive this case really is? Do you see it even going on trial next month or getting pushed back, especially now that he's in custody?
I was a bit surprised to say this case is scheduled for trial in such a short window of time. However, I also understand that as a defense attorney and as a defense strategy, sometimes you want to push the government or the prosecutor to trial quickly because you do not believe that they have all their ducks in a row and will be able to essentially be organized, be prepared, and ready to bring all the witnesses and the evidence to bear at trial against you. So that's also sometimes a tactic. At the same time, generally speaking, time is in the defendant's favor if they allow time to kind of run out and allow time to extend out, because witnesses' memories fade. Bad things happens to people. People, are not easily found, and a case can fall apart over time. And so, that's to the defendant's benefit to allow the time to kind of run out and not ask or push for a quick trial. But just because the trial is scheduled for within a month's time or so does not mean it will go at that time. Oftentimes trials are delayed. They're continued to later dates for reasons on both sides of the aisle. Sometimes the prosecutor needs more time. Other times the defense needs more time, or even the court. So I wouldn't bet on trial proceeding in a month or so. However, it could happen at some later point in time if neither the defendant and the prosecutors can agree on some type of deal.
And how much of a hurdle do you think the defense is looking at, even though the prosecution has the burden of proof, but in terms of just what they have versus the defense, do you think they're really looking at an uphill battle here?
Well, assessing how difficult of a row it is for the prosecution to hoe is only going to be able to really be assessed once you see the evidence behind the allegations,
right.
And whether or not people who provided evidence.
An uninformed decision, that would be ineffective assistance of counsel. So a salute to Law and Crime. Just was able to get it from the media, and who specialize in that, and get an attorney's position on what's going on. So this case is really strange. Then you got all of these guys, Jay Reed, the victim at No Jumper, being at multiple, Dale Morrison being at the meeting about with Dash Network. And this all ties in so crazy. All these dudes is suspect. You don't know what's really going on behind the scenes. Then they got the protection order on the paperwork. They're protecting the informants and making sure that Big U can't get and find out who's snitching on them, right? But at this point, this is where you got to separate the weed from the roots. You know what I'm saying? So what I would tell Big U first, look, bro, the federal government has named you and others in what is called a criminal enterprise. That enterprise is referred to as the Big U enterprise. They are alleging violations of multiple statutes of criminal activity, alleging that this enterprise operated through coordinated acts of violence, fraud, extortion, and other crimes, right? You got to understand that each charge and indictment is tied to a statute or a group of overt acts, like the hot one on RW, right? They haven't charged him as conspiracy to murder or attempted murder, whatever they would be charging for that statute. They're charging it as an overt act. So let me see if I can ask ChatGPT real quick, right? Let me see if I can ask ChatGPT. Can a criminal defendant be held just as guilty for overt act? So that would all derive from the conspiracy too, right? A person can be held just as guilty for participating in aiding a crime, even if they didn't personally commit the main criminal act. For example, conspiracy. So prosecutors often must show that there was an agreement to commit a crime. And that's where Big U got major action on a lot of this bullshit. Because other than Luce Coochie Ashley and WACK100 corroborating information on the internet, and Dale corroborating information that was discussed, and Marley Marl corroborating information that was discussed within that exact same strange circle, right? The same players, Luce Coochie Ashley, Dale the Long-Tailed Rat, Dale Morrison, Marley Marl, right? This is that real strange act, CS2 back in the Crip cop, right? So let me first say this too, right? I am not a lawyer. I'm a layman, just like you are, that's been through a lot of criminal trials. So I got a little bit of experience from that end of the spectrum. I'm not a lawyer coming with a lawyer's version, but with my understanding of federal cases, you pick up on certain things, you understand certain rights that you have, right? So I will want to first break down, tell Big U about this indictment and break down the indictment based on specific charges and the overt acts that correspond to them. First, let's note the docket and the records has shown that Big U lawyers ain't did shit, right? Big U lawyers have done little to nothing thus far. Almost a half a year or 6-7 months. What was that? March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. These niggas ain't filed nothing. They just now getting the discovery. The court ordered to turn over discovery to the defendants. How could they file motions or anything till they first get the Brady material and discovery up under the Brady pro, or even motions to dismiss, send private investigator to investigate whether this is what was said by this criminal defendant and or conspiracy. So let's start off like this, right? The only thing that's been mandated so far was the release of the paperwork. We do not have that paperwork yet. There's a protective order holding it from it. We might not get that paperwork to after the trial, right? So Big U, the primary charge against you is conspiracy under the racketeering, influencing corrupt organization statute, known as the RICO. This is found in Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 1962D. Under that statute, it is a crime to agree with others to participate in the affairs of an enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity. A pattern means at least 2 acts of racketeering within a 10-year period. The government alleges that you and others knowingly entered into this agreement and that the conspiracy lasted from at least 2010 through March 2025. 2010. I wonder what year CS2 back said that he started hanging with Big U. You know what I'm saying? I wonder what year was that he said he started, maybe about 2-3 years after that. You know what I'm saying? So you got the RICO Act, right? Now, besides the RICO Act, they blowing my phone up. Let me pause this, bro. Damn. So right back at it, just like a crack addict. So yeah, 2010, the feds are alleging that's when the conspiracy began, at least since 2010, right? Now, the government identifies that the Big U enterprise as a criminal organization whose purpose was to generate money and power through acts of violence, intimidation, fraud, and deception. The indictment says this included murder, extortion, robbery, wire fraud, sex trafficking, and misuse of nonprofit and public funds. The indictment links Big U to specific acts and also holds Big U responsible for the broader agreement among members of the alleged enterprise. So all of that must be proven. Let's start there, right? All of those links to specific acts must be proven, as well as holding him responsible for a broader agreement amongst members of alleged enterprise. So they have to show multiple elements. One, that there was an agreement between two or more people to do a crime, right? To formulate an enterprise such as, or formulate and come together in something that was a criminal enterprise, right? They would have to first establish that there was an agreement to do that. Then they got to prove different elements, that it was reasonably foreseeable, that if they convict and find that Big U had conspired with Duse M, then they would then have to prove that he did at least one overt act in furtherance of that conspiracy, in furtherance of that agreement. Nigga could be like, man, you know what, man? Man, I seen that motherfucker armored truck, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of working a 9 to 5. And nigga get on some gangster shit and, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? Trying to pump each other up. But you guys never go scope out the lick. You guys don't own guns, so you don't have the guns, or having spoke with somebody else to carry out an act, stole a car to be the getaway car, and you never did any crime, then just the thought itself at that level wouldn't be sufficient without at least one overt act in furtherance of that conspiracy. You know what I'm saying? In furtherance of that agreement. So the burden rests upon, be clear, on the Assistant United States Attorney. They talking about what he got to fight. Yeah, they always frame it like that because you up against a lot. The defense has to defend his honor and stand on his truth. So now let's talk about this. Overt acts are specific steps that the government claims were taken to carry out the conspiracy. In the indictment, these overt acts are detailed and numbered. The government uses them to support its claim that you and others were furthering the goals of the enterprise. The first set of overt acts involves a murder in Las Vegas. So remember I said it's hasn't been formally charged as conspiracy to murder or aiding and abetting a murder or attempted murder or whatever they wanted to charge, right? The fact that they talk about that the motive was a diss song, that shit is so suspect. Nipsey dissed him. All Nipsey had to do was take a fade. I'm sure he heard that song, right? Nipsey's a pretty popular rapper. This rapper that nobody never heard of, right, is alleged by the government to have made a diss song dissing Big U, and Big U alleged to have gotten word of it, and this is the motive for murder. I gotta get him. He dissed me. He's gotta die. That's a hell of a reach, bro. I mean, you don't got a foothold to stand on that. So, no murder weapon. So you got one of the hardest cases to prove, a murder case, where you have no eyewitness, no murder weapon, and a suspect-ass motive to want to murder, right? So, no DNA. They allowed the federal. I think that's one of the reasons they allowed these agent provocateurs, these snitches, to intervene with lies prior to Big U even being arrested, prior to the indictment dropping. These same dudes who for almost 2 years talked about this Big U indictment coming. How did y'all know? Some of them had to have been at the grand jury, right? But in any event, in the indictment, these overt acts are detailed and numbered. The government uses them to support its claim that you and others were furthering the goals of the enterprise. The first set of the overt acts involve a murder in Las Vegas. The government claimed that in January 2021, you arranged for a man named RW to travel to Las Vegas to record music, then confronted him over perceived disrespect. The indictment states that on January 25th, 2021, you drove him outside the city, murdered him by shooting him in the head, and attempted to cover up the crime by destroying evidence and instructing others not to talk to law enforcement. These acts are tied to the RICO conspiracy charge and may also support potential murder charges under Nevada law, though the indictment lists them primarily as racketeering acts. So first they would have to convict him of the conspiracy in the RICO to even try to argue that he should be held liable for the alleged overt act of killing RW the way that these people just described and implicated him in doing, right? So let's get to this. So anyway, let's get to this real quick. My notes. So now, after telling them about the first category of overt acts, the second category of overt acts include a series of extortion incidents involving victim one, right? The government alleges that over a period of years, you demanded regular payments from victim one, who operated a marijuana dispensary and worked in music promotion. So now we're talking about Dale Morrison, Dale the long tail rat, right? And Dale witness one, victim one. Victim one. We're gonna get into a little something about old Dale. Let's get to this before we finish explaining the big U about the second category of overt acts. You know what I'm saying? Since we're gonna talk about Dale, for those who don't know about Dale the long tail rat, let's expose the snitch. 16 minutes will be worth it. Entertain y'all, because this legal work can get real boring. Hit that like button, man. We appreciate y'all supporting, but we gonna cut. Free my boy Big U in the chat. Free Big U. Let's
Politics, the best hood channel on YouTube, and we back with them bad people in this Big U federal indictment. Now, you know, it's a lot of information that's coming out, a lot of individuals speculating as to who's telling, who's snitching, who the witnesses are, and that's where we step in. Now, right now, we got one main individual who's playing some dirty games in this paperwork. Now, as we broke down when we covered this Big U indictment, there's confidential informants, multiple witnesses in multiple areas. And we also have some snitches on the forecast as well. But we're not talking about probabilities in this video. We only gonna talk about facts. So we know there's an individual that they refer to as CW1. They broke down his profile, his case history, and what information he provided. Now, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm onto that dude, but I'm not 100% for
If that like conversation,
it on the show. That is who I think it is. So we're not gonna put that out there because, you know, we're not here to make allegations in terms of who's snitching. We're gonna tell you exactly who it is. And you know, a lot of people, of course, they want it to be WACK100. They want it to be 6 Hunnet, Bricc, baby. We know Luce Cannon's already telling. He's self-snitching. He's implicated himself. But this individual right here is also snitching on Luce Cannon. But as of right now, we got to say factually, it's none of them other dudes. But you know the saying, when life gives you lemons, you end up with Dale Morrison. Now, Dale Morrison is going to be victim number one. This is actually going to be the biggest rat in this case. So again, this is not CW1 who was pardoned by Joe Biden. And this is not witness one that was around the alleged murder situation in Nevada. The witness that was working as a security guard in the studio. This is the man that was getting extorted, so to speak. the one that was robbed by Luce Cannon, and the club promoter who set up the whole situation with Big U and Deja Vu, where it was said that Big U has shook down 30 rats out that situation. But the key thing, man, is who is Dale Morrison? Now, he's not only a rat, he's actually a club promoter, and I would say somewhat of an entrepreneur throughout the city. And the next question one may ask is, why Dale Morrison? Why was he being shook down? It seems like this dude is one of them guys playing all sides. Now, the key thing is Dale Morrison has been in the mix around all these dudes for a long time. Like I said, he's a club promoter, and anybody know these club promoters, they're the ultimate people person. But especially when you promoting black businesses, black clubs, black parties, you're gonna end up intertwining with the hood at some point, especially in LA. So we've seen Dale Morrison, not only with Big U, we've seen him with Nipsey, we've seen him with Gilly the Kid, Joe Moses. Like I said, this dude has been around everybody in the city, and we gotta put this out so nobody else falls into the games that this dude is playing. Now, the paperwork has painted him out to be a victim, and on the contrary, painted Big U to just be somebody that got him in a headlock. But Dale Morrison is actually playing his own games in these streets, man. So the key thing right now is Morrison is under his own federal indictment, which has nothing to do with any of these dudes in this indictment, with this Big U Rollin 60 situation. This dude had his feet in the streets, a full participant in the life of criminality. He's not just some weed shop owner that's trying to make a living and ends meet by playing it fair. This is the misconception of this whole situation. Now, the indictment that he's allegedly the main defendant on is a conspiracy with the intent to possess narcotics, also possession with the intent to distribute narcotics. And the main key thing is the feds are alleging that Dale Morrison is using businesses in LA as fronts, including the same business that Big U was allegedly shaking down. So we've seen Morrison with multiple different businesses: MLB Investments and Holdings, M4 Morrison Media Marketing and Management, DMO 20 Consultants LLC, Everybody Eats, which is also synonymous with the Everybody Eats Genetics cannabis business, which he's affiliated with. Now, at the time when he was allegedly participating in the conspiracy, some of these businesses were operating off some high rises off Fed. Now, as of today, he's changed the addresses to these businesses. But in 2020, it's alleged that he was working with 4 other co-conspirators by the names of Jordan Jackson, Keyshawn Brandon, Brittany Duff, and Deja Purifoy. Now, everybody except for Keyshawn Brandon was operating in Ohio. Keyshawn Brandon, aka Keys, is said to be Morrison's bodyguard, or security, so to speak, that protects his criminal endeavors. And it said that on July 25th, 2020, Keys was chaperoning around 7,000 grams of meth, approximately 2,000 grams of powder, and around 5,300 grams of weed from LA to Ohio, which is when they got pulled over. And somehow, some way, it comes out that this shipment came from Dale Morrison. Now, mind you, this is July 2020. In the Big U indictment, the Fed said they didn't start watching Big U until February 2021, after the alleged murder committed by Big U in Nevada. But again, they was already watching the 6-0s in 2020, and they were able to track 8 USPS packages sent from Ohio to different addresses in LA, some in the 40s, a business in the Mansfields, and of course, an Addy in the 6-0s, where it said that around 150 racks had came from Ohio and touched down to LA, which the feds are alleging is proceeds that Morrison was receiving in this drug conspiracy. Now, 6 days after they got caught in that car, Morrison's house was hit July 31st, 2020, where it said this dude also had a bunch of weapons. But he wasn't fully taken in on this indictment until a year later, April 28th, 2021. But the Big U document alleges that he was a known extortion target since the beginning of their investigation on Big U. So as we see here in this Big U paperwork, it states victim 1 has a criminal history that includes arrest for narcotics conspiracy and distribution in violation of Title 21, Section 846, respectively, for which he is pending sentencing. It's still an open Fed case. He hasn't been sentenced. Why? Because he's using his telling on Big U in this indictment, in which it says that victim 1 will likely receive cooperation credit based on this case in his unrelated pending drug case from the United States Attorney's Office in the Southern District of Ohio. So this information right here is why there's no need for guessing. There's no need for allegations. There's a lot of bunk that's coming out. Is this dude snitching? Is he snitching? You know, people grasping at straws just for the content. The paperwork is telling us who these people are. Now, like I said, in the forecast, there are some snitches that's coming out, but you know, that's neither here nor there because we have to move factually when we talking about people as rats. And this is what I mean by this is a dirty character right here. He caught an unrelated Fed case before any of this situation and immediately started pointing fingers at the big fish because he's a little fish in the streets, but nonetheless, he's still in the streets. He's not some innocent victim just floating around getting a noogie on his head. You know what I'm saying? And then with that situation that they had at Deja Vu on Big U Party in 2021, he complained and snitched about Big U pressing him and the other promoter for 30 racks. But then he turns around the next year and still promotes his next party in 2022 at Cheetahs.
See the inconsistency?
Playing street games, but when the big fish come and collect.
So you see the inconsistencies in the stories. We're gonna love to get Dale Morrison on the stand. Big U has to be salivating at the opportunity to bring up Dale Morrison. Not only Dale Morrison, but the underage prostitutes who are now grown that he pimped on, the pedo pimp, right? We're going to brand him 2 P's, the pedo pimp. You know what I'm saying? Dale Morrison. And then he's a dope dealer. You know what I'm saying? This is nasty work. So he's already given inconsistent statements and so clear that in the indictment that it's in contrast that Rap News Street Politics highlights it. Sharp brother, let's go.
He want to point the finger now, but he got some even nastier work on his name. He's also been convicted of a robbery, and guess what? Human trafficking of a minor under the age of 18. Shit, I see why he's getting pressed. This is a weird dude in the streets. And it's also said that he has ties to WACK100. We're going to get to that, though. Now, one can make the argument that Big U wouldn't even be under an investigation by the feds if it wasn't for this dude. Reason being is because the homicide that took place in Nevada was under investigation by the police in Nevada, not the feds. This dude comes along, and now you have the full RICO where we're talking about money, extortion, and robbery being involved into a full enterprise with Big U. Now, along with CW1, Morrison also told the feds about the Adrian Broner situation. He had a recording on Big U when he sat down with him April 14th and April 15th.
So April 14th and April 15th, he had a recording on about the Adrian Broner situation. That's good because that's going to show and make Big U look like Robin Hood because he always tries to protect his people. He's naturally a protector of our people. So let's go.
Of 2022, he was mic'd up when Big U was talking about the Adrian Broner situation. Now, like I said, this is the same person.
So long tail the rat. Hit that like button, man, if you're just coming in.
That Luce Cannon admitted to robbing.
So now, these are key facts that Big U got to make sure he remember also. But Dale was wired up talking to Big U about the Adrian Broner thing, right? So that should work out good. I'm quite sure pieces of shit trying to rob millions of dollars from athletes, anybody who stands up for his people to protect his people should be looked at as admirable. It's going to look very, very bad if they alter those tapes or those tapes come up missing. But let's go.
This is one of the main reasons why Luce Cannon.
And then Luce Cannon Williams, recounting of this robbery occurred years after the robbery of Victim One's dispensary and years after Victim One had already recounted and documented the robbery for the FBI. So they're saying Dale had already documented and recounted the robbery for the FBI, and then Luce Cannon rendition on No Jumper and all of these other platforms corroborated. All it takes to corroborate one fact in the eyes of the law, federal law, is one other person to corroborate one fact. Let's get to it.
Is sitting down. Not only did Luce Cannon talk on the podcast, but what sealed his fate was the dude he robbed was working as an informant. So like I said, all he had to do was corroborate the story that Luce Cannon told as being factual. And of course, with him being the victim, it was extremely easy for Luce Cannon to get snatched up. Now, like I said, he was around all these dudes before this investigation popped off, and he was around all the way up to when they got hit. But in the Big U video, we also spoke about a time when the Nevada police had went to Big U's house to pay him a visit in regards to the murder that took place out there. We see Dale Morrison on the wiretap with them later on that night, giving extortion payments to Vay. And he also dug into multiple details to the feds about how Big U tried to get him to line up other weed dealers and other businesses in the city. But the key thing, this dude was making 25% off of the tape. So I'm not going to sit here and act like this dude was just living the worst life possible. He got tired of being punked, and his run-in with the feds in the situation in Ohio has led to him becoming spooked. And he's using that to get from up under Big U's thumb. Like I said, we seen this dude with all the rappers, promoting all the parties. We seen him promoting Filthy Rich, everybody. This is not somebody you want to be around. I'm going to keep it real. You never know who else he going to throw up under the bus to lighten up that federal indictment that he got looming over his head. And it's one thing called a sentence memorandum. That memorandum right there breaks down everything in regards to your sentencing. You meet with the judge and they go over everything. All the people that's there for you in the courtroom, all the letters from your employers, your family, all the mitigating factors that you're using to try to get the judge not to send your ass all the way up the river. And like I said, at that point, that's when these cooperation credits are going to take effect, and it's going to drop his points down and lessen the blow of that offense. That document is still sealed and he's not sentenced yet. Mind you, this offense happened in 2020 and he went down in 2021. Here we are 4 years later. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get sentenced until after everybody in this Big U indictment is taken care of, because we may see this dude on the stand if anybody takes it to trial, which I'm highly doubting right now. But like I said before, this dude participated in countless wiretaps. It seemed like Vay and Big U stayed on this dude on the phone, and all he was doing was leading these guys over to Title III. But like I said, he went down in April 2021. 8 months after this is the man that was making those controlled extortion payments. The FBI gave him thousands of dollars, split up over multiple occasions, slid it right to him so he can go meet with Big U or Vay and document those extortion payments. Like I said, this dude wasted no time to get out in the field and work as a confidential informant, but they call him a victim. And one key thing you got to realize about these dudes that work for the feds, you know, of course, everything's incentivized. There's a reason. They got something hanging over your head, but you also have to enter some sort of a contractual agreement with these people. And of course, nobody wants their information out there. Nobody wants the feds to say that they working for them. But the key thing is, in that contract that you sign with these folks, they let you know that they can't promise and ensure you that your information will be kept solid. Because at some point, if somebody goes to trial, you may be called as a witness. But like we see here, they basically told us who he was. Again, this is why there should be no speculation and putting out false content until the information drops. But what we meant by this dude playing all sides, you know, as a club promoter, he's mixed in with everybody. WACK is in the entertainment business. He got to get his artists in these clubs and make this chilly. But on June 5th, 2022, on the wiretap, Big U was telling this dude, stop doing business with WACK100 because he's a rat. And a month after that, Big U broke down the situation.
So not only Marley Marl, Big U told Dale the long tail rat, stop doing business with WACK, that nigga's a rat. And he ran back and told WACK100 in the Feds. Big U told Marley Marl, hey, leave that sucker alone. That nigga's a federal informant. Marley Marl ran back and told WACK. WACK is behind and working with all of these informants to target Big U. This is vicious, vicious work.
Situation to Dale Morrison that he had with WACK100. Now, I believe WACK was talking about this, you know, he's kind of hard to listen to. I'm going to keep it real, man. But the account of the incident that was on wiretap, the account that the feds have, and the account that Dale Morrison has.
Henley recounted to victim one, Dale Morrison, right? An incident in which Henley and Rollin 60 gang members chased down WACK100 attempting to hurt him. There's 15 to 20 niggas with us, with hoodies tied down. I got my hoodie on, all black, tied down. She like, boom. He calls her, she like, boom. She jumped in the car, paid for, and then took off. Boom, this nigga screaming, my wife draws. I see you, Eugene. I see you, Eugene Henley. I see you. He's screaming all that. He got his blower and his blower out, but he's fucked up because nobody's around. We like, bitch ass nigga. I'm like, yeah, bitch ass nigga. He like, die here, man. Don't do this. My wife, my kids in that car, draws, don't do this. He's screaming. Nasty work. Talk about a bona fide pussy. Oh, pardon my French. I got to be a little bit more. Well, I'm the jailhouse lawyer, so I got to come with speak how I speak. Let's go.
Is that Big U and some 6-0s chased down WACK, and WACK took off screaming, saying, my wife draws. I see you, Eugene. I see you, Eugene. I see you. He said he was screaming, and he said he had a blower. But he said WACK pleaded and said, don't do this. My wife, my kids in the car. He said, draws, don't do this. This is the account told by Big U to Dale Morrison. So we see why WACK is on this campaign, man. These two is for show beefing. Now, the comment where he said WACK100 is a snitch, like I said, of course, we all would like him to be, especially at this juncture, but I have no paperwork on it, so I can't say. But nonetheless, Mr. Dale Morrison is for show them bad peoples, man. And CW1, he's going to be coming soon too, man. We got to call a spade. It just is what it is, especially when these dudes is hanging around other artists, mingling with the streets, 1 foot in, 1 foot out type shit, doing shit for their advantage. It's all fair game at this point. Rap News Street Politics, the best hood channel on YouTube. Y'all make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, man. We out.
Great point, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to expose these dudes. He's dangerous. He out here working. He ain't getting sentenced until after a trial because he's trying to get a Rule 35, nigga, or a 5K1 downward departure, nigga. That's what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So, so let's get to this one, right? So we were talking about and explaining to Big U, I was explaining to Big U the second category of overt acts, right? And they talked about he's supposed to be extorting these dispensaries that Dale own or whatever, right? And Dale is supposed to be also working promotions for his company or whatever. So when Victim 1 stopped paying Big U, the government says that Big U directed a group of people to rob him at gunpoint. The indictment includes transcripts of intercepted calls and recordings in which Big U and others discuss money demands, robbery proceeds, and threats to victim one. These acts are connected to extortion under the Hobbs Act, which is found in Title 18, Section 1951. The government claims that you use fear and threats of violence to interfere with commerce and collect money. Fear of threats and violence, right? That's crazy. I'm just thinking about that video I see. Shout out to Dose of Reality TV that we reacted to last night, where this is exactly what he was telling the Ninja Turtle dude that was beefing with Donut. This is exactly what he used with Kanye West. Exactly what he used with Mark Stevens and Shaquille O'Neal. But I haven't seen the feds target him, even though he boasts about this type of stuff. It just made me think about that video. But anyway, next I will tell Big U that there's another set of overt acts involving victim 2, who allegedly hosted a birthday party for Big U at a nightclub. The indictment says that Big U demanded $30,000 from him and threatened to use gang members. Oh, so I think I was talking about Molly Mall first. Victim 1. So victim 2, to use gang members to destroy his business if he didn't pay. These allegations are also tied to the extortion charge. The indictment then includes acts related to the transportation of women for prostitution. So now you're talking about Monty, and if Monty's cooperating, and I don't know. I'm hearing, I don't know, man. We got to see some paperwork, but the streets is talking. I don't know. I haven't seen the work yet. We need to get the work. So that way we going to find out what's going on. So the government claims in 2022 November, Big U sent the woman named Amani to transport other women from Los Angeles to Vegas to engage in prostitution. They are intercepted messages and calls where you are alleged to have discussed paying for, where Big U is alleged to have discussed paying for travel and coordinating their arrival. This charge falls under Title 18, Section 2421, which criminalizes transporting individuals across the state lines with the intent that they engage in prostitution. Another category of overt acts involve misuse of the nonprofit funds. They're saying he didn't use the nonprofit money for what it was supposed to be. The money crimes, I'm quite sure he has an accountant and people to handle that. I'm quite sure that they'll be able to explain it, or the responsibility is going to fall on them. If I don't understand and I'm paying somebody to do all that, then that was a breakdown in communication on that part. So proven intent is going to be cold on that. I remember Death Row Suge and them and David Kenner and them got like David Kenner got probation, but they didn't even charge Suge. You know they got a hard on for Big U that they charged that, right? And so the government identifies multiple donations to an organization called Developing Options, which its claims was under your control. The donors include athletes, music companies, and other nonprofits. The government says you received those donations in accounts linked to Developing Options, then transferred the funds into your personal bank account and used them for yourself, Big U. This is what they're alleging. This conduct supports the wire fraud and theft of federally funded program charges. Those are found under Title 18, Section 1343 and 666. There is also a reference to a fraudulent loan application involving a woman named Tiffany Hines and another co-defendant. The government claims that you assisted in submitting false employment information to qualify for a loan. That supports a charge of Title 18, Section 1344, which deals with the bank fraud. So we will give them all of that. And then next, we'll be talking about these tax violations, right? So additional charges include violation under Title 16, Section 7201, 7203. These relate to the allegations that Big U attempted to evade taxes and failed to file tax returns. The indictment ties those charges to Big U's alleged personal enrichment from developing options and other sources. Finally, the indictment contains a forfeiture section. This does not include new charges, but notifies you that the government will seek to take any money or property it claims is connected to the offenses that he is convicted of. That includes funds in certain bank accounts, vehicles, and other assets. Each of these categories is used by the government to support its argument that the Big U enterprise existed and that you were a central participant. The charges span over a decade and include over a decade, bro. They say the investigation started in 2021 with the FEDS, but he had to already be under investigation. So, all right, so the charges span over a decade and include combinations of violent crimes, financial crimes, and acts that allegedly use Big U's public reputation and nonprofit position as a cover for criminal activity. The structure of the indictment designed to tie all of the acts together in one as a single organized conspiracy. Don't forget that. Let's start there. Y'all right. The fact that they're going to utilize and seize anything they believe he will be convicted of, his bank accounts, money, stocks, bonds, if they believe they can tie that to some kind of criminal, they have the power to just take this man's stuff. And he sacrificed his life to the community. How many of y'all really out there thought about, well, maybe I could help him? Maybe I could do something for him. And that's an even sadder reality, that this is where we are as a people, as a community. This is the time that the community needs to repay Big U for being a defender, for being a leader of their kids, helping to raise their children, helping their children to get to college. He needs our help. But now that I got that out the way, we definitely need to do that. They saying that the structure of the indictment, the way that, let me say, right? Hold on 1 second. Now, what Big U got to understand is that the structure of the indictment is designed to tie all of these overt acts together in a single organized conspiracy. Let's try that one more time. Make sure that Big U understand that the way that the indictment is designed is to tie all of these acts as single organized conspiracy. This is what they're trying to tie them in. Well, within a reasonable doubt, the feds have major problems in the Big U indictment. So just by that burden right there, having to tie all of these alleged crimes that's in the indictment the racketeering case, tie them to Big U. Well, Big U, check this out, my nigga. Bricc baby just pled out to a pistol case. It has no statement or nothing in it that has to do with you. How was it reasonably foreseeable to you? And what nexus have they established between you and Bricc baby other than passing and maybe even discussing content? That's not illegal last time I checked. So that gun case alleged, knock off maybe 7 years or 7 to 15 years off of the 600 years that they saying my nigga facing. Let's knock that off, you know what I'm saying? But just like in Big Bricc baby situation, that those crimes that were alleged in indictment have nothing to do with Big U. Big U said that in the video we just showed. How y'all gonna tie me? Everybody know I don't deal with Bricc baby. You know what I'm saying? So they're gonna have to tie it in to one big conspiracy. So that's a hell of a burden. They've already started failing with these gun allegations. And then the other co-conspirator who pled out and bailed out died in a car accident. I don't know what his part in it. I know it was attached also to some guns, some kind of gun trafficking or gun sales or even possession. Not sure on that. We'll get to that when we get to that. But the first thing that I would recommend to Big U is, Big U, you need to separate your case. That's called a severance, a motion to sever, right? So let me get to this real quick, right? In my notes, I got, all right, so how do I explain this to y'all? So when the government charges you and other people together in a criminal case, there are two rules. Let me blow this up. There are two rules that control whether all of you can be tried together. These are Rules 8 and Rule 14 of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure. Rule 8B, the number 8B, Section B, allows the government to charge multiple people in the same indictment if they are accused of taking part in the same act or a series of acts that make up a criminal offense. This is called joinder. If the people being charged are not actually part of the same criminal act or connected series of acts, that is called misjoinder. So that's where we got a misjoinder with Big U and Bricc baby, right? When there is a misjoinder, the law allows a person to ask for a separate trial because the original grouping was improper. So the grouping of these guns that had nothing to do with Big U, with nobody Big U was doing business with, they shouldn't even had them on the same indictment with them. It has nothing to do with it. It looked good to paint Big U in this nexus of crime. So here go two of the gun runners and no ties to Big U, neither one of them, right? So it's improper. Even if the court finds that joinder is technically proper under Rule AB, Rule 14 still allows for the case to be separated. This is called severance. Rule 14 permits a judge to order separate trials if a joint trial would be unfair to one of the defendants. So in this case, Big U, you charged with several other people under the RICO statute. The government's theory is that all of you were part of a single criminal enterprise and that the facts committed by each person were done to further that enterprise. This is the big U enterprise, right? Based on that theory, the government will say that Rule 8B permits everyone to be tried together, right? That's what they're going to argue. But however, there are several grounds to argue that your case should be severed from the others under Rule 14. Some of your co-defendants are accused of conduct that does not involve you, i.e. Bricc, right? And fraudulent loan applications, right? That doesn't involve him. These are separate acts, and there is no indication that Big U was involved in any of them. If the jury hears this evidence during a joint trial, there is a risk that will associate that unrelated conduct with Big U. That's called spillover prejudice. So you need to sever your case from these people. These are some of the rules that can be in your favor to get a judge to agree that a lot of, to avoid spillover, a lot of these charges need to be removed from your indictment. They should have never even been associated with your indictment. Yep. Castro GTX, coffee black, no sugar, no cream. The jailhouse lawyer talking to his nigga Big U. This is just, I'm not a lawyer. I'm a lay litigant. Disclaimer, right? So there's also a possibility of antagonistic defenses. That happens when one of the defendants tries to blame another in order to protect himself. For example, if another defendant, Luce Ashley, claims that Big U was the one giving the orders, or that Big U acted alone, or that Big U is denying those claims, Big U's only defense would be directly opposed to theirs. That's kind of like a conflict between defenses, and that could be grounds for the court granting the severance. So speaking of Luce Ashley and the severance motion, I specifically tell the nigga that if he's claiming that Big U was the one giving orders, let's see if that fits. We got a video for y'all because I know y'all get tired of just the legal deep dive, but this is what I do. This is what separates me from these guys. You know what I'm saying? They want to fight amongst each other. They act as if they have no skills, no ambitions. How you gonna get corporate sponsors with nigga shit all throughout your content every single day? That's the lowest CPMs, man. You gotta build news, entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Add something to the pot. Stop just exploiting it. But look, y'all tell me, does this fit into the statute I read? Let's go. Let's go. Hit that like button.
Our wholesale partners rely on us for great coffee.
Hit that like button.
We rely on UPS to get it there.
Conversation.
Yeah. But this crazy calls me the other day. And I was doing something.
Look at Cherie.
You know, you're doing something, you kind of listen to somebody talk, but you doing some other shit. Mm-hmm. And this dude did some shit, made me drop some shit.
Uh-oh.
I misplaced a little, I was putting together my remote control car. I done misplaced a piece, I still can't find it. And I told him, and you know me, Adam, if I get some information or some content, I'm going to fry your ass up.
Yeah.
I said, nephew, this content, I can't present. You got to present it because you ain't lied to me yet. Because he's behind a lot that you've seen, you just should know it was him. Okay. We're going to tell you off camera.
What kind of stuff?
He's behind a lot of that.
If you just here for the advice I'm giving to my nigga Big U, and you're not familiar, enter confidential source 2 back and he's making sure he lines Big U up here, throwing the alley-oop to Luce Cannon to talk about Molly Mall, his brother. Nasty work.
You see though, YouTube, you just say no, it was him. So I know he ain't no bull, but man, listen.
No, so
yeah, you gotta elaborate on this.
I got to, because at the end of the day, it's like dealing with, like, you know, when you're in hood politics and stuff like that. And well, let me go back where it first started, right? So I ended up whooping Molly Mall ass, right? Put it on camera. Guy named Big U. It's cool. They used to be brothers, right?
Then you talk about Big U and Molly Mall.
No, Big U, Molly Mall, and you.
Yes.
Molly Mall, who you're friends with.
Yeah, that's my brother.
Right. Yeah, they used to be they all
he put us on the phone together.
Still my brother.
Yeah. Molly Mall is a good dude. He just a scammer. So, you know,
Molly's not a scammer.
Allegedly.
Molly Mall is a scammer on Crips.
You and Molly Mall
But
is
they
good.
cool. They still
No,
good.
me and Molly Mall is good.
He talks the truth, regardless
Molly's
they
not
like
a
it or
fucking
not.
scammer.
I fuck
You
with a
know
bunch
what?
of
This is what I'm
okay,
saying.
look,
All the business I've ever did with Molly, he always delivered.
No, have you ever
just
seen
do
Molly
music.
Mall produce a song?
He has the producers.
No.
Pooh Bear, nigga.
Pooh Bear is a writer. Pooh Bear is.
He makes the
Justin
studio
Bieber,
available.
yeah.
He provides the beats.
And then
he demos them. And then when people pull up, he press play. I got to hit the game. And
Oh, yeah. And when you play this video in court, Big U, I hope that you highlight the fact that one of the witnesses in your case, Molly Mall, relationship, like he said, his brother, right? This is his relationship with Molly Mall. And Luce Cannon, the guy who's pointing the finger at you, is saying that Molly Mall is a scammer. So let's note that for the jury, as we were.
Jeremiah joint?
No,
he's
just saying though, he just puts his name on things. He don't really do it.
A whole bunch of these producers do
right
that.
about
That's
that.
smart. I
You
wanna
know
start
that
doing
shit.
You're right about
That's
that.
true.
That's a fact. Go ahead. We listen.
Okay, so basically, after I whipped Molly Mall ass for doing some bullshit, and then and Molly Mall would tell you, he was like, I was in the wrong, I was fucked up, I was going to jail, I was off.
Big U, I also want you to note to the jury that what Luce is failing to state at this point is that the bullshit that Molly Mall was doing to Luce Cannon, which caused Luce Cannon to make a decision that he was going to do what he did to Molly Mall, was that he jumped in Luce Cannon's real wife, Gigi's DM. Why you fucking with that nigga? He's a loser. He's a bum. You supposed to be fucking with me. And Luce Cannon intercepted it. Gigi, we definitely would appreciate your testimony to the facts, because that's all we bring is receipts. But as you were.
Drugs and stuff like that, I was just fucked up. So I don't know why I play with you like that.
I don't know that, Molly. I guess when I come around, I've never seen him do drugs or none of that shit.
Yeah. So, I told him that, and then I guess Big U told Molly Mall some shit, and then when Big U told Molly Mall some shit, he told you, Molly Mall.
Okay, so Big U told Molly Mall some shit, and Molly Mall told WACK100. Well, for those that aren't privy, we need to make sure that we note for the jurors that what Big U told Molly Mall was that WACK100 was a federal informant. That's the shit that Luce Cannon knows. Molly Mall, Big U told Molly Mall, leave WACK alone. Don't fuck with him. He's the federal. He's working with the feds. That's what Luce Cannon is biting around. But as you were.
I told you.
He definitely told me.
And then you called Big U, and when you called Big U, he got mad because you outed him, or Molly Mall outed him. So he basically.
So first, he said Marley Marl did some shit he shouldn't have did. Now he's trying to tie Big U into it by saying that Big U was mad at Marley Marl and told him to do it because Marley Marl outed Big U and told WACK100 that Big U said that he's a federal informant or a federal source. So that's what this is all about. So when Marley Marl comes in, obviously Wack's brother, make sure that the jury understands his motive to lie. He has a whole lot of interest in why he shouldn't tell the truth on that stand. Let's go.
Basically said fuck you and fuck Marley Marl. So
that's why he got mad at me?
He got mad at you because you called him as a man and you stepped to him and he felt...
Because Marley Marl's supposed to be his brother. I've seen Marley Marl bail him out of jail, give him his mansion, just give him the fucking mansion.
Wack spent in right there, cold twist. Spent in. Because what he said is that why Big U was mad at me? Because Luce Cannon's alleging that after Marley Marl outed him, that WACK100 called Big U and confronted Big U about him telling people he was a federal informant. I think Big U would know if WACK100 was a federal informant, they were friends. He told me that that's why he cut WACK100 off. I believe him. Let's go.
And say, here go the keys. Here go the keys of my cars. You my brother. I love you. When he was short on money, Marley Marl go in his pocket. Look out for him. I saw Marley Marl help his artists, give him free beats. So when I hear some shit like that, because it was a situation on Sunset. Marley Marl's eating. You see some guys pull up and they get at Marley Marl, right?
Saying what?
They get at him. Ain't no saying nothing. Action.
They beat his ass.
They beat his ass. Okay.
They get at him, right? That's Luce. So I'm like, so I get the call, right? I'm like, he like, yo, I say, yo, who was that? He like Luce Cannon. I say, what Luce? I say, where you from? Because I know it ain't him. Because Big U from 6-0. Ain't no way Luce get that Marley Marl like that. So when he say Luce Cannon, I'm like, from where? He like 6-0. I say, wait, that was Luce that did you like that? I said, hold on. So I called Big U. Hey, man, why is Luce doing that to bro? Now, you got to remember, me and Marley do real business. I come get a beat from him. You know, I pay him for his beat, give him his points. We got to hit him and Game and Jeremiah came from Marley, right? So Big U, like, laughs the shit off, right? So I'm like, yo, bro, what kind of shit you on? I thought Marley is... You know what I'm saying? What kind of shit you on?
Yeah.
Right? So then, you know, he started to make mention of certain things, and I guess he must have called you back or called Marley back. He called Marley back and said, you called Wack, and told Wack, and at this point in time, Marley like, fuck me calling Wack. What's up with your homeboys doing me like that? You know, I didn't let your kids stay. I didn't did everything in the world for you. What's up with your... And at that point in time, I think Marley's light came on.
Yeah. But see, people don't understand, like Big U, he got his name for dealing with like niggas like me. So it's not like he actually doing work or putting in work himself or whatever. He just do it and then put his name on. Same thing like what Marley Marl do.
Cannon.
Marley Marl act like he made this beat.
Luce Cannon, thank you, man. That's a 59-year-old man. 59-year-old man. He don't put in no work no more. Let's go.
Eat and take a picture in front of the studio, but actually he's selling you somebody else's product. You get what I'm saying? That's what Big U do. He finesse niggas. He acting
But is
like
that somebody's product? Because if Marley Marl provide the workplace, he provide the tools, and he say, yo,
and don't
I'm gonna let you work here, and we're gonna cut this shit up. My influence is gonna bring the artists here to move the product. I never heard Marley say he did some beat.
But what kind of shit are you saying that Big U does that he then
shit.
stamps but doesn't?
And Adam 22, no. What type of shit are you saying Big U does? Nasty work. they all in on the play. They're all working with the federal government to implicate Big U in multiple crimes publicly before 5 million people so that they can convict him publicly. Big U, maybe you need to argue that you can't even get a fair trial. Let's go.
Actually do. You're talking about street shit?
Yeah, like street shit. So basically, say if I go do
what does Big U do street shit? That you're saying that he does street shit.
Something in the hood, right? And he knows about it. He'll tell everybody in the hood
like it's him.
So like it's him, but then they be calling me. It was like, cuz you just did this, and I'm like, cuz that's like some police shit. Because why would you be telling if me and you as the only person that know what we did? It shouldn't even go between.
Are you woke, Luce?
Of course.
Are you woke now?
Yeah.
You know why he's putting it out there, right?
Of course.
He got to get that credit from that 7 street contract.
Of course. So at the end of the
and not only does confidential source 2 back implicate this man in crimes and help to corroborate evidence, at the same time pushing a disinformation campaign as if Big U is working with law enforcement. 77 Division. Developing options deal is not with 77 Division, it's to the grid. The grid is out of the mayor's office. LA City Hall. I'm going.
It's like,
why did no one tell Wisconsin drivers about this
conversation? Y'all hit that like button, man. Let's go.
It's 2023 and you got a BlackBerry. Like they didn't even.
How long have I been asking me about that BlackBerry?
Since 2015.
So that's the phone that he got.
Yeah, his name in the contract. 7th Street Division issued him a BlackBerry as a police issue phone to report all gang violence in his grid area. And this is an annual contract. If he doesn't produce, then they take it. He's been having a contract 10, 11 years. He did such a great job. He went from $550,000 a year. They gave him a $440,000 bonus. We send the contract. But listen,
hey, this is a man that's obsessed with another man's finances. I always was taught, what you eat don't make me shit. I'm just saying. Especially when a nigga don't even fuck with you. Crazy.
Fuck all that.
Yeah. So basically it's like, cause he'll be like, he'll manipulate things. Like we'll go and do something, and the same niggas we do it to show up to the house like 10 minutes later when we trying to, counting everything, right? And we be like, how the fuck they get the, well, we're going to just give them like $40,000 back and stuff like that. But because it's actually putting us in paperwork, right? And like doing like real police shit. I seen the nigga get like 20 guns. And when he got 20 guns, he's selling them to the homies. But I'm like, why are you writing down the serial numbers? So it's like,
so not only did he implicate him in having Luce Cannon do an assault on Molly Mall, now he's implicating Big U in other crimes, right? He's seen him passing out 20 guns or selling 20 guns to the homies. Right? This is how they attach the gang stuff to him for RICO. These are the moves Big U they put on you so they can make this a RICO racketeering and much bigger than it really was. They got this dude pointing the finger at Big U on all of these crimes charged and even crimes not charged, right? Well, that's also a question for the prosecution. Well, since he's such a believable witness that you added this stuff about Meek Mills and Rick Ross. Oh yeah, Big U, they saying that you extorted Rick Ross and Meek Mill. Well, Rick Ross and Meek Mills already publicly denied it. I don't know how they don't believe that we're going to make sure we subpoena Meek Mills and Rick Ross so they can see that this dude's a liar. But since the prosecution believe he's such a great witness that they would include these lies quoted on No Jumper, this hearsay, right? then why didn't you believe this thing about the guns? What evidence do you got about the guns that this dude is alleging? Because I'm quite sure if he provided y'all or y'all were able to corroborate that, then those gun charges would be linked to him. But maybe that's exactly how you had Bricc Baby and the other guy that Bus or whatever his name was, that had the blammer that passed away, right? Maybe that's why you guys had to do it like that. Everything is aesthetics. They're writing and narrating a script before our eyes. And these are the three people. Well, I see Sharice, like Clarice, Hannibal Lecter, Sharice. I see her over there looking like she a couple cheeseburgers from Diabetes 1, nigga. But she's really just a parrot seeking the attention, seeking the clout. This is the testimony for the grand jury. This is what was showed to the grand jury. WACK100, Luce Cannon, corroborating crimes on Big U. But that's what I wanted to say about the guns. And as I said, antagonistic defenses. When the defendant tries to blame another to protect themselves, bro, this is what Luce Cannon's doing. He's already spoken with the feds multiple times. He knows he has a warrant for choking Gigi, allegedly. Choking Gigi and beating Gigi up. Domestic violence. He knows that he has these investigations from robberies with the IBM niggas all throughout the IE or wherever they were at out there. The parties they were robbing. The shootings. The assaults. They documented it all. He knows exactly what's going on. And so he blames another, Big U, my nigga, for crimes that he's committed. This is another way that we could get the severance motion whenever there's something like that. Y'all tell me in the chat, does that sound like antagonistic defense is exactly what Big U needs? Let's go.
Like, he was doing like shit like that, and I didn't catch on. So it was like, I'm waking up now. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm his
high-tech shit.
I'm his right-hand man. You get what I'm saying? So when it came down to like dirt and stuff like that, I'm gonna get it. You get what I'm saying? And then like,
I'm his right-hand man. So when it comes to dirt or something, I'm gonna get it. Well, I'm gonna tell y'all this. If he claiming that Big U is the one giving the orders, it's still an antagonistic defense. If Luce Cannon is claiming that Big U is the one giving him the orders because he's the guy right next to him, that's an antagonistic defense, as you were.
One day, you know why he wanted to get a dude back to 40, right? Because he was gonna make dude give him 20 for getting it back.
Of course.
And kept you out of it.
Of course. He did that to when I did that to Meek Mills and Rick Ross.
What'd you do to them?
Man.
So
the club, when you sweated them in the club?
Yeah.
This is in the indictment, right? Meek Mills and Rick Ross. So they quote this right here, and WACK100 corroborates knowing about it. Listen to this. Listen to this. Nasty work. Listen to WACK. Corroborate a felony in somebody's paperwork.
I did that to Meek Mills and Rick Ross.
What'd you do to them?
So
the club, when you sweated them in the club?
Yeah.
Dude, and Meek and Rick have no idea that Draw sent you at him.
Yeah. No, yeah, they sent that because I called Ross. I'm like, Ross,
boy, this shit getting crazy.
Drop off the 50,000 and we're gonna let Meek live on Crips. So Ross dropped off the 50,000. And so me and the homies, we go back. he stopped answering the phone. He stopped picking up and shit like that. And we were like, what you doing? Like 2 days later, he called me. He was like, oh, nephew, where you at? And I'm like, nigga, where my money at? And he was like, oh, I needed it for bill.
Hey, Meek Mills, Rick Ross, check in, my nigga. We gonna love to have you guys assist the brother in making mockery of the prosecution's case.
I needed for. I'm like, what? Like, cuz that's some weird shit. And then he stopped answering the phone because I'm trying to pull up on him. Like, bro, you got to come and see me. And then it's like we were doing a TV show like a while back, right? And I'm on a phone. He FaceTimed me. So he FaceTimed me and stuff like that. He was like, Nipsey just got killed. I'm like, 6 I didn't hear that. So I hang up with him. I called Nipsey and I'm like, Nipsey, what's up? He was like, oh, what's up with it?
Nipsey answered.
Nipsey answered. He answered the phone. And I was like, I love you, cuz, or whatever like that.
Did you tell him the call you just got? Or you didn't even mention it?
I didn't mention it. And that's what fucked me up. Because
so, note to Big U, this nigga is insinuating that when 30 minutes before Nipsey Hussle was unalive, you gave him information that he was already gone, right? We know that the police records check any communication, and they done double and triple checked all of this and know that this was a fabricated lie implicating Big U publicly before 5 million people in the murder of South Central's most beloved hip-hop entrepreneurial member. He's a real member. I don't give a fuck that he ain't from my hood. His experiences is my experience. South Central state of mind. So this is nasty work, bro. Big U. I advise you also to get the links that we got for the civil lawsuit. I will make sure that I hit every major platform who defamed my name publicly to have which assisted people in having a misperception of who I am, what my businesses do, utilizing my likenesses to villainize me, right? Villainize my images, the unique brand, developing options, and Big U name, all trademark. We need to take all of that shit down, their channels down, and show the YouTube population that playing with your motherfucking name, lying on your name will not be tolerated. Let's get in court. Each one of them, right? Hold their ass civil liable. So let's get back to this. But that's a note for Big U. We need to get that filed ASAP before the trial. We don't want more people seeing it now and prejudging you based upon it before you even have a day in court. We need to get that takedown, and PR needs to make sure there's a public announcement to these same newscasters that's villainizing them, these same platforms that's villainizing them, running these false narratives, that they will be face civil liability also if they continue. Nip that shit in the bud. Let's go.
My cousin is Nipsey baby mama. You get what I'm saying? So it was like I could have probably stopped it, or it had it.
Stop what? Fuck you mean? That fuck you talking about?
No, because listen. So after I talked to Nipsey, and I was like, "Yeah, I love you, cuz," or whatever like that. I see you later, or whatever. So I hung up the phone. I thought Big U gave wrong information. 30 minutes later, the homies blowing me up like they just killed Nipsey. And so I'm like,
wait. You get a call from Big U telling you Nipsey just got killed.
Yeah.
You panic, call Nip. Nip answer the phone.
Yeah. And
you
we
like
were just talking on regular. So it's like at the end of the day, I didn't even think about it because
you don't even warn him that you got that call from dude.
No, because their relationship was so fucked up. It'd be like they be hot one minute, then they be cold the next minute, and then they be lukewarm. Like you
and
just
30 minutes after you get out the phone with Nip, he get killed.
Yeah, I got it.
So you think he hit you a little too early?
Yep, he hit me a little bit too early because the homie Shitty double back 3 times. You get what I'm saying? And first he shot him, boom, go into the alley, came back and shot him, boom. It wasn't good enough, and then he came back and he shot him again. But now it's like
how did he know?
Yeah, no, but
that's crazy.
It's deep. So it's like I don't know who to trust.
Now let me ask you a question. I heard this. I don't know how true it is. I heard that Shitty and Nipsey had a fight.
Yeah, they had
they
had a fight like a week before that when they had a fight. You know, Shitty ain't known for fighting.
Yeah, not at all.
He known
not
for doing the other things. So at the end of the day, it's like Nipsey beat him up. Nipsey is what's like 6'4", 6'5". Shitty is like 5'5", 5'6". You know what I'm saying? Like frails. Like
Luce the liability.
He get hot.
So it was already some friction.
Yeah, it was already friction because of like some police telling shit. And
now let me ask you something, bro, because you know they gon'. I know you. See, you don't say nothing. You kind of like me in a way. You don't say nothing unless.
But the homies know. So it's like, it's not like I'm saying something that they don't know. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, it's like you telling me, oh, I'm fucking with the police or whatever like that, trying to smooth your background out. So I'm like, on 6-0, I'm going to expose your buster ass neighborhood Crip. And if a nigga take it any type of way, they could get at me or I'll pull up and get at them. It's like.
So you pretty much saying he called you, told you Nip got killed. You called Nip in a panic. He answered the phone.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear his voice, you like, well, Nip ain't dead, but you don't warn him what he said. 30 minutes later, you get a call after the fact, Nip dead.
Yeah.
During the Beauty Rest Labor Day sale at Ashley, save up to $900 on select Beauty Rest Black adjustable sets, plus a $200 MasterCard reward.
So there you go on exactly what Big U need to do as far as Luce Cannon and these other defendants who are claiming he's the one giving orders. All of that comes up under the antagonistic defense. We need to get them severed from the case. That's definitely a conflict of interest. I mean, it's clear. Hopefully, you guys are in the chat, active, and telling me that you see exactly why he qualifies for severance, and that's just one of the defendants. But another issue comes when statements are made by defendants. If someone else gives a statement to law enforcement or was recorded making statements and comments that mention Big U, that person does not testify at trial, you will not be able to cross-examine it. And that would violate his Sixth Amendment right, confrontation clause, right? In that situation, the court must either exclude the statement or grant the severance. This is based on Supreme Court decision known as Bruton. So it's starting to be a conflict of interest, not on and needing a severance for multiple reasons. But here, all of these niggas, the 60s really appear to have turned against Big U. Not all of them, not half of them. I'm talking about the ones that are informing on this case. It's all going to come out. These people want to give him a gang RICO so bad, utilizing the 6 O's, and they couldn't do it, so they come with the Big U enterprise. This gotta be a joke. The dudes, all the dudes pointing the finger at Big U for their crimes have all made statements against Big U and utilizing Big U's name. I can't be sitting next to them going to trial when it's in their interest to point the finger at me and they have no morals. They'll point the finger at you if they know it's going to get them up out the mess they in. It's nasty work. So you got that. Let me see what else I got on my notes. So yeah, if they cooperated against Big U and made statements, that's another reason for the severance, right? The crimes and events that these people are talking about spread out over many years. When juries are exposed to large volumes of coupled evidence, it increases the chance that they will stop keeping track of who did what, and they may hold everyone responsible for everything. That type of confusion is another factor the courts have recognized in favor of a severance motion. So the legal principles show that there is a basis to argue both misjoinder and severance, depending on how the facts and the roles of the defendants are presented to the court. Rule 8B, remember, under the Rule 8B, that's how we arguing this, and Rule 14. But, okay, let's go to Rule 8B again. Focuses on whether the grouping itself was legally proper, and Rule 14 focuses on whether the grouping is unfair, even if technically allowed. Both apply in situations where unrelated or highly prejudicial evidence could affect the jury's ability to decide each case separately and fairly. So Big U has a major interest in getting a severance motion, right? So now, excuse me, I got an itch. So this kind of motion is especially relevant where the law requires, let me get my what you call it. The government to prove that the alleged conduct affected interstate commerce or involved crossing state lines. In Big U's case, the Highback extortion charge and the prostitution transportation charge both fall into that category. These charges are based on federal statutes that require, let me stop